My name is John Alcock. This is Communications 101. This is speech number 2, the process speech. And the title of my speech is Gone to the Dogs. Imagine yourself for a minute in the shoes of a parent of a 4 or 5-year-old little girl. Her birthday is coming up, and at the last second, she decides that nothing else would make her happier than to have a little puppy. In your head, you hem and haw about the idea, but the next morning on her birthday, you head out early and you get her a little puppy. Nothing made your daughter happier. A couple months pass by, and your daughter's not so happy anymore. Dog's always barking and nipping at her because she's always tugging at his ears and pulling on his fur. Nobody else seems to take care of the dog, feeding it, taking it outside, going on walks, except for you, the person that didn't want the responsibility in the first place. You decide, after some consideration, that the only option is to take the dog to a shelter. This is an example of a situation that happens all too often. Dogs being taken into shelters, not because they were abused or neglected, but because the person didn't fully understand the responsibilities that go along with owning a dog. In this speech, I hope to give you some ideas to consider before you buy your dog, and what to do after you buy your dog to keep both you and him happy. It's important before you buy your dog to make sure you research and understand the responsibilities that go along with owning it. Two of the things that people don't realize the most is the cost that goes into having a dog. Food, vet visits, and little toys and trinkets. It can also be a little time consuming, walking the dog, taking the dog out, and just in general spending some time bonding and building a companionship with your dog. It's important to consider what breed of dog would be best for you and your family. Some dogs are better suited for kids, while some aren't. Some dogs will need lots of space and room to run and roam, while others will be fine in just a little room curled up in the corner. Some dogs can be very needy and require lots of time and attention. Other dogs can do fine by themselves. Those are all things that you should consider before you buy your dog. Once you bring them home, the first thing you should do is collar and tag your dog with the dog's name, your name, and phone number where you can be reached. So greatly improve your odds of your dog being returned if it should ever run away. You should also check into licensing laws at your local vet or animal shelter. Certain breeds of dogs need to be licensed with the city or state. You should make the decision whether or not to spay or neuter your dog. The United States Humane Society recommends that you do, not only for pet population considerations, but also because it improves the length and the health of the dog in the long run, and it can also help control behavior. It kind of mellows the dogs out a little bit. It's a good idea to train your dog early and set boundaries. If you don't want them on a piece of furniture or you don't want them chewing up furniture, make sure you don't let it pass by just because he's a puppy, because that kind of behavior could be harder to stop in the future if you let him get away with it while he's young. Once you get past that, it's important to keep up with regular doggy maintenance. These include regular vet visits, which will be a lot in the first year. Spay or neuter if you decide to. There's always blood work and an initial round of vaccinations. And then every year or so, they'll need booster shots for their vaccinations, and just a regular checkup here and there just to make sure everything is going okay with them. It's a good idea to get your dog about a half-hour exercise each day if possible, maybe a little bit more. It doesn't need to be a 3 or 4 mile run, just a brisk walk or a short little jog or just playing fetch in the backyard, just as long as they get some exercise. With all that, it'll definitely work up an appetite. The size of the dog will probably greatly influence how much he'll eat, but it's a good idea to check with your vet or read up online on just how much your dog should eat, or if there's a special kind of food it should be eating, and you should definitely always have access to fresh water. The last thing is to make sure that you're always very patient with your dog. In your mind, you might have the idea of the perfect dog or how you want your dog to behave, but you can't control your dog's behavior down to a T. You just have to learn to give a little take and let everything come in time. Owning a dog might not be as complicated or as involved as I might have just made it seem, but it does carry some responsibility with it. And if you take the time to consider these things before you go out and purchase your next dog and bring it home, you'll make sure that when you do, your dog stays home. Thank you.